Shutter Speed, episode 18. Overcoming death only built my brand stronger. In today's episode, we're talking about where I've been for such a long time. It's almost been 2 years since I've done a single podcast. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy that I can finally be back. And I hope with this rebranding of this podcast, it really brings out potential and how you can use personal branding to improve your brand, your career, and your business. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Peter Szpakowski, and welcome to Shutter Speed, where a powerful first impression can change your life. I have been a branding specialist for over 15 years. For those 15 years, I have been a professional photographer and videographer. I travel around the country, taking professional headshots, professional event photography, professional video of individuals and businesses that promote businesses and careers. This podcast is focused on a business owner, entrepreneur, or even someone looking to enhance their career, their life, their place in this world through branding. For most of us, the world today, the first impression people have of you is through an image or a video. And that will determine if there will even be another interaction after the first impression. How many people have you met and the first impression, you just don't get a good first impression? And so you avoid the person or just not contact the person again? Businesses are run that way. Businesses either succeed because of that or they fail because of that. This podcast is tailor-made for you. In each episode, we'll uncover the strategies and the techniques behind building a stronger and influential brand that resonates with the target audience. Branding is more than just a logo or tagline. It's the essence of your business or personal brand. The emotional connection you create with your customers or employers. This is where things can get really good for you as a business owner or really bad, depending on those first impressions. How many people have an image out on Yelp or have a web page or have some other way of drawing in business? If you don't have a good first impression, you're often overlooked and just pass by. So we'll be talking about that a little bit more in this episode. But before, where have I been? Well, honestly, I'm very blessed to even still be here. Back in July of 2021, I came down with COVID. And it wasn't just a mild case of COVID. It was one where one afternoon, I got a COVID test and I tested positive for COVID and was wondering what was going to happen. And my brain started getting really foggy and just couldn't think straight and called the hospital. This is at a time when the hospitals were packed. They were packed with people with COVID. They didn't have rooms. And they said, well, they'll turn you away unless your blood level is your blood oxygen level is a certain level. I think it was 91 or lower. And mine was about 86. So went to the hospital, sitting in the waiting room, and it was just a long wait. I just remember laying on the floor and in the lobby, and then somebody coming to get me. And next thing you know I was admitted into the hospital. So I was pretty much put on a respirator almost right away. And over the few weeks where it started, things just got really bad. And I had all kinds of different problems. I went to 5 different hospitals. I talked about how the hospitals were packed. One of the first rooms I was in was actually an office room or a meeting room where people would often have meetings. So it was an extended emergency room. But what ended up happening is my lung functionality went down. I was almost at 5%, which is extremely low. I needed supplementary oxygen, going back and forth between a BiPAP and breath breathing treatments, and just a whole regimen of pharmaceuticals that, really just messed with your head, and just, it was a long time. I ended up spending 61 days in ICU, just ICU. I was 61 days. And right after that, I got worse and worse, and then better, and then 2 steps back. I had a pneumothorax at one point where they had to go in right away for emergency procedure, and had no anesthesia or anything. Just, I'm familiar with it. My son's had a few of them and just had that treatment right away. But it was really bad. I'm a big guy. I weigh about 250, 260 pounds normally. And after those 61 days of in the hospital, I remember them telling me my weight, and I was 144 pounds. 144. This is somebody that normally weighs 250 pounds. I'd lost all functionality to be able to walk. I could not even sit up on my own. And even though my lungs had started to get better at that time, they were only about 20 to 25% functioning. The hardest thing to possibly do when I eventually went to rehab was showering. Just the humidity and being in rehab was just tough. But that's where I decided I was going to do everything I can to get back up and be able to walk, be able to drive again, get back. So I'm going to the gym and staying healthy. Honestly, I don't think I would have been here if it wasn't for my exercise regimen throughout my life. I was a competitive bodybuilder, so I had a lot of muscle on me. Even though I was 250 pounds, I had a lot of muscle. And COVID seemed to attack that muscle rather than my organs. Even though I lost over 100 pounds, 70 pounds of that was muscle. It wasn't fat, it was muscle. That's why I couldn't walk. I spent 20 days in rehab after those 65 days in the hospital, most of which was in ICU. And that's where they worked with me to be able to walk again. And I didn't quite get there, so I was in a wheelchair. I was in a wheelchair for months. So I very easily could have podcast when I came out. And even though I was in a wheelchair, that has no influence on me podcasting. But because my lungs didn't function very well, and they still don't today, I'm still at right about 50% functionality. So I've gained a little bit back, but I'm still progressing. God's still getting me to where I need to be. And it's just been really hard. But up until maybe a couple months ago, I still couldn't talk more than 2 or 3 sentences without my voice cracking, without losing my breath, without being able to continue a conversation. Having a conversation more than 3-4 minutes was just about impossible. So I'm happy that I've progressed to where I'm at. And through this whole thing, I think about it, and we have a personal brand. We have a personal brand. We have a business brand. And I love branding. I've always done branding because of being a photographer and a videographer. But it's very important that branding hits us in different ways. For me, my brand this wasn't going to stop me. I do consider myself a person that's motivated, that's driven. And this is because I've built that into my mindset that nothing's going to beat me. There was nothing going to stop me to still be here. So when my daughter walks down the aisle someday to get married, I'm not the person walking her down the aisle. That wasn't going to happen. I will be there for her when I walk her down the aisle. That was a big driving force to keep me alive, to keep me going, to help me heal. So I wanted to continue to talk about branding. There's a lot that we can do because of things, the way that our world has changed. Branding's become so important. Changing the way that we think, changing the way that we deal with people, the way that we attract customers. Still, people are not going into an office. A lot of business is driven online through Zoom. How many people now work remote? I never thought in my lifetime I would see that many people work remote. Offices are empty. People are leaving leases. People are leasing smaller spaces just because people are working at home. They're seeing what benefits that have, but you also lose that face-to-face interaction. So more than ever, people are looking at branding. People are looking at logos. People are looking at images of you on your social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Yelp, Google. All of them are very important. And a big part of that is personal branding. But branding, like I said, it's more than just a logo. It's more than just a tagline. It's how you present yourself in every aspect of business, in every aspect of life. Ask that about somebody, a single person trying to find somebody to date. They need to put a personal brand out there that attracts a person that they're interested in. And if you don't have that personal brand, then it's just not a match. But what can you do to improve your personal brand, to improve your business brand, to really draw in that attention? And those are some things that I'm going to talk about. I've had a lot of experience, whether it's from being a recruiter, a career professional, an executive, a photographer, where I've got a lot of insight into that. I've seen what works. I've seen what doesn't work. I see what some people do, and they continue to do things the way they did 10, 15 years ago, and that just doesn't work. So I wanted to change this podcast and rebrand it in such a way that it really helps you become a better business, become a better person that draws the type of clients, to draw the types of friends that you want to meet. So that's why I'm rebranding this podcast. I had a lot of thought about it. I wasn't even going to podcast anymore, but something really struck me that I want to get out there and start podcasting a little bit more. Give people some insight of what things they can do to really improve their brand. It really is true. A tagline that I came up with was, a powerful first impression can change your life. It really can. It can give you the next big job. It can give you the next big sale. It can help you find the person of your dreams. So we'll be talking about branding. I want to thank you for listening to me today. I'm happy to be back. I can't wait to bring you more. And until next time, a powerful first impression can change your life.
Thank you for listening today. We would love to hear from you and would love you to engage with the community. For more tools, tips, and know-how, head over to the 2mm Academy at 2mmstudio.com and join us.